Plotting is something that is very important in many programming and in many things that you're executing. You want to visualize the results that you have. And in that case, you need to have plotting functionalities. And in Python, that plotting functionalities is enabled by a core library known as matplotlib. Okay, I'm going to focus on a very specific matplotlib.pyplot, which is essentially the module that allows you to create diagrams or figures which are very similar to MATLAB if you know about that programming construct. But essentially take this. If you don't know MATLAB, essentially it will help you. This library or this module will help you in creating nice diagrams. Again, as I mentioned previously, for you to use any of the libraries, if you first need to import them. So what I'm doing by executing this code block here is I'm importing matplotlib.pyplot as plt, and that's how I'm importing the library. And once I have been able to import this, now I should be able to use the functionality of matplotlib.pyplot that is out there. Okay. So I in order to demonstrate some of the plotting functionalities, what I want to do is I want to essentially plot a sine curve, and that's the the execution this block does. It essentially creates an array which a value of x within a range, and then that passes on to y, and the y function basically takes a sine of x. And what we want to do is, like, with respect to x, we want to see the value of the function which is sine x that is out there. So that's what is executed in this code block that I'm running here. Now I can take this x and y and use the plot plt which I have imported, and I can figure out, and you can essentially plot this whole thing. So the command that is given here it allows us to essentially plot the sine curve that we have generated through the code block that was out there. So you can see that I have plt.figure, which specifies the sizes of the figure. Then we have x and y, which defines what is, this allows us to define different labels for x-axis and y-axis, and what values we should be storing, what title, x label and y label, what is the color of the line, what is the width of the line, what is the style of the line, which is double dash, and so on. And if you look into this specific sub functions like dot plot, x label, and so on, you can get more information about how you can create different types of diagram using this construct. But you should be aware that this library allows you to essentially plot different types of diagrams that is out there. So this is an example where we have essentially plotted a sine curve, created a function where we provided x within a range, and we plotted function y, which is function of x, and essentially it's a sine function. Yep. So let's run some other examples. So here what we are doing is we are computing in the x and y coordinates for points on the sine curve, and what we want to do is we want to plot out the sine curve and the cosine curves on the same plot. Okay, so if you want to do that, you can use this code block which has been provided here, so which I am trying to run now. So if I run this one, you can see that the same plot is plotting two different curves. One is sine and one is cosine, and then we have different types of lines, like one is gray, another is red, one is solid, another is double dashed, and so on. By specifying these different parameters for different types of plot that we are doing, we can create very customized plots that we are interested in using the Python core library matplotlib. Okay. Now, sometimes you may be interested in essentially creating subplots, so multiple figures in the same diagrams, and so the matplotlib also allows you to plot or do subplot. Okay, so here is the same example. We are running for sine and cos, and what we want to do is we want to basically do subplots. See, if we run this code, right, you will see that now we have essentially come up with a single plot which has two subplot, one on the left, one on the right, and which is basically giving me the sort of a figure for the sine plot and the cosine plot for the functions that we have been able to implement. So this is an important library that I will encourage you to use when you are interested in creating very specific diagrams for your visualization of the results that you are interested in. And again, summing up, matplotlib dot um, .pyplot is an important module that you should be aware of in case we are interested in basically plotting out the results of your codes.